Evening, everybody. How are you all? My God, I'm flustered today. Manic rushing around. It's AJ's birthday today, so at a house full, but I've managed to escape to come and join you a lot. Why not? Yeah, but there we go. So, what's been happening? Got quite a bit lined up again today. Got to say, nearly did miss out on the segment, but I've managed to pull it back. There's actually some footage I record to use on my journal videos that we post on the channel. So I'm actually going to use that today to share with you, which was from this week when I actually went through my NND Sankey Pond. My God, I was blown away with that. But I'll speak more about that in a little bit. But got that for you this evening. Other than that, not too much more to report. It's been absolutely full on. The plumbers actually came on site on Friday. They installed the buffer vessel, the new pressure management system, and then kind of had a steady start Monday. And sure enough, things started to go wrong. Not by them. The heat exchangers didn't turn up. They were supposed to then come Tuesday, didn't turn up. And then finally today, the express service from APC pre-10 managed to turn up at 12:20. Absolutely epic. So unfortunately, we've been slowing them up a little bit, to be fair. But yeah, again, bear with me. I'm on with the comments and stuff as well this evening. But yeah, we got cracked on. So that's all good. We've actually got the first, I think, 5 ponds today, all actually piped and done up. So most of the exchanges are stored. Sparkies are on site tomorrow. So it looks like the first of the new ponds will actually have heat running through them tomorrow, which is exciting. They've done a phenomenal job. Yesterday, the... Go on, you've lost me now. I've lost my thread. Blooming heck. Yeah, they had five engineers on site. It was absolutely manic, and they absolutely flew through it. You know, all the bits they've done. So, yeah, exciting times. I'm buzzing at the minute. Been playing with a few other things as well around Koi videos. Yeah, trying some new techniques to get some more consistency to them, which is really good fun. Yeah, bonkers, absolutely bonkers, but loving it every minute. Fish are all doing exceptionally well that are around, and yeah, just absolutely flat on. So bits I've got today. I just want to. I've had the notification this morning. I'm actually expecting to tomorrow or Friday at the latest the NND calendars to turn up. So as soon as they have actually arrived with me, I'm going to get them listed over on the Koi Talk website for sale, so they'll be ready for instant dispatch. I don't want to put them up on there till we've got them here. I've also not got a clue what the landed cost is actually going to end up being on them until they're here. So bear with us, but they're coming. The first page is a January-February split, so still plenty of time to enjoy that first page. Don't worry about it. So yeah, other than that, this evening we are going with some Sakai Sankey. I thought we might as well end the series properly. Them guys have just had a phenomenal AJKS, haven't they? It's just remarkable. Grand champion, reserve grand champion, the majority of all the majors. Again, it's just an absolute machine. But Sakai Sankey are the ones. These are the ones I had to fight for the most in the auction. You could just see, you know, price-wise sitting above the Kohaku constantly across all the batches. And yeah, luckily I did manage to get some. So this evening we will, following on the WhatsApp group, I will be releasing those out as we have done the others. And that will then conclude the Sakai series that we've done for now. So I've got another auction coming up and all, which is going to be lethal. I need to find something else to do for 3 days there, but there we are. We'll have to give it a shot again, no doubt. And yeah, mainly what I want to start with this evening, actually, let's just have a quick flick through the comments and see who's in the house. Good evening, Terry. How are you doing? Jason, good evening. Rob, good evening. Telford Koi Pond. Mark Childs, Marex Koi Pond. Ray Sharman, Bluminette, there's loads here. Spring H, Surplus Koi, Cambridge Koi. Yeah, I'm not going to get through all them. Evening. Light changes to the magazine. So yes, that is going to be the first major topic of discussion, folks. To be honest, I'm going to have a bit of a heart-to-heart with you all regards that stuff, hopefully, so you can understand a little bit more about me and my thought processes on things, and why you will get to grip with, understand more the decision I've just made, or not say just made, just recently made, about the future of Koi Talk magazine. So yeah, I'm not going to leave yet, as I have seen a lot of love for that today, which I do like. I got my Koi Talk magazine today, the new art. Very impressive, well done. So yeah, on that one. Now bear with me. I've not made any notes on this pre-scripted. It's just stuff flying around in my head. I just want it to come out as it comes out. And if you've got any questions at any point, please fire them in. I will check to them. Obviously, at the minute, I'm not going to. I'll have to take me eyes away from the comments, but yeah. So Koi Talk magazine started. It actually, as a venture, started in 2016 when I had the first crack at this, and it actually started as a media website. That's what I was looking at back then, because even then I realized there was not a lot going on. There was nothing bringing decent information, nowhere to find out what's happening. It was a disaster. And to be honest, I had about maybe 18 months at it. It was a pretty chaotic time period in my life. I won't go into all that stuff too much, but at that point, it's when Charlie was pregnant with Arthur. And yeah, stuff just went in a bit of a spiral, to be fair. But despite that, I was still doing some crazy stuff at work. Some might say being a little bit out of control, but the Koi Talk venture started. I also started a company in Japan at the same time, which became one of the leading sort of agent shippers out in Japan, and still is to this day. I'm no longer a part of it, but it does still exist, and I was there in the foundations and the making of it. But yeah, Koi Talk was always this one that I wanted to share information, get a bit more out there. But I think, yeah, it was probably too early to that point. And after about 18 months of, in all fairness, just throwing money at this, I partnered up with a web developer. We were doing stuff. It just wasn't really gaining the traction. And for me, I thought, it'd be pivotal to actually create something tangible and physical, because I really do believe in that stuff still. So in the end, I parked it for a while, because I needed to sort of get my head straight and just sort of focus on life a little bit and Koi Wholesale. So yeah, that got parked, and did get on with that, got super busy with it once again. And then it obviously, these things, when I have these ideas, they never ever leave me. I do have the ability to park it, come back to it, but it just doesn't go away when I believe in something. So yeah, later came back to it with the concept of the magazine. And I actually started on design concepts for the magazine about 2 years before we eventually launched it. That's how far back I was sort of mucking around with all this stuff. And obviously now we are getting on for 2.5 years into it, nearly, yeah, closer to 3 years almost. So it's been a phenomenal journey. But at that point, decided to relaunch, but on the basis of having the magazine. And the amount of time I spent obsessing about this stuff, the concept, the design for the cover, which seems so simple, but if you see the amount of iterations it went through before we eventually got to that point, different designers, concepts, money spent, just crazy. Then the internals of the magazine, I knew nothing about designing a magazine, but I've always had a big interest in design, print and web design specifically. And I kind of took the attitude that I should treat this as a user interface. So it needs to be, and I've actually still got them here in my office down in the corner, a stack of magazines. I went to WH Smith's, bought a whole stack of them just to look through, to find things I liked, didn't like. And I saw a lot of magazines that were beautiful design pieces, but I found really difficult to read, and almost too much going on the pages. And in the end, I settled, with the designer I was working with, who also created the cover, on the concept that you saw up until this current issue. And then we cracked on, loads of initial success. But at the time of doing it, and certainly this time around of doing it, we started Koi Talk magazine. I started YouTube. We started Koi Talk YouTube as well. Just went in a lot of different directions, but it was all born out of the underlying passion I had for helping to share credible information with you guys. Because as I was looking at the state of the industry at that point, information was only getting shared in Facebook groups, forums, wherever it wants to be, certain, YouTube places where, to be fair, the information to me seemed quite dangerous, not trustworthy. I could see there was information and advice being given that wasn't necessarily understood by the people giving it, and maybe just regurgitated from stuff they've read and seen in other places. So I thought it was crucial that, and to be fair, you know, nobody from the industry was stepping up and filling these gaps. So hit all these different channels at once, just with one, the passion driving it was to educate, share information, knowledge, build a credible source that people could truly trust, but also have something to give the industry a push, because it all felt very flat and not a lot was happening. So just to try and gauge, if I thought if I could share a percentage of the passion I have for what I do, it would help enhance people's hobby in a big way. And I think to date, we've achieved that in all fairness. And I look around now at the current state of affairs, and the whole industry seems mighty more lively, in my opinion. Again, welcome your guys' feedback on that. But from what I see now, you know, we're not just the only magazine. There's other platforms and things out there, other good magazines as well, which is amazing to see. I have absolutely no issues with any of that stuff. I think it's amazing that there's all that out there for you guys now to enjoy. You know, things, Evo's really up in his game with his channel. You look across YouTube, dealers hosting more events. There's just the whole thing. There's a lot more happening, I think, than I've ever known in the industry. So it's phenomenal. And all this is just generally born out of my passion and love. I don't look at these things. I don't look at the financials. And to be fair, this is where you'll understand a little bit more about what's coming. This is always something that Chris has been, he can't get his head around with me. Money is not a motivator in my life. It is just the sheer passion and love for what I do pushes it. When it's in full bore and things aren't really distracting it, I have got unlimited energy for this. Honestly, guys, you just cannot begin to imagine the energy, the obsession, everything. But I'm also big into the details and the quality of the stuff that I do. Now, as Koi Talk magazine has grown personally, and obviously we're committed to doing the monthly subscription, which has been amazing. The support from you guys has been amazing. The numbers that we do are phenomenal. But even from the very off, we found it difficult to keep up with. It's incredibly hard meeting them deadlines, and just one little slip up or delay has massive consequences. It's always been to the wire, and this is being very, very honest about it. And it's stressful. Financially from it, any penny it's ever earned, we've sank back into personnel or changes or whatever it is we've been doing. The podcast just gone round and round. It's also had a huge amount of investment over from me as well, from Koi Wholesale, to actually get it going to the point where it was. Otherwise, it would have never got off the ground at the sort of speed that it has done. But really, it's the energy. It takes a huge amount of energy. And writing, I love producing content. I absolutely do. And I enjoy writing. But when I get put under pressure with it, everything goes blank. Nothing can come out fingers and hit the keyboard. It's absolutely shit, to be honest. It does my boxing. And we've found no matter how many staff or people we bring into the whole equation, it still relied so heavily on me and Chris throughout. And there's also elements of this with my particularity, if you like, that's kind of held it back at times. But as it went through, it was clear that as it was, we needed to make it more kind of commercial in a lot of senses. So from that, you have to start making decisions. And this, for me, I think is where the love kind of started dying a little bit, because when I started, the very, very first mock issue, which actually sits in that stand behind me, had very few adverts in it. And I mean, I think it was just the covers, maybe one or two internally on that. I obsessed over the quality of the paper, just every little detail that you can imagine. But as obviously things grow, I've got a lot of responsibility over at Koi Wholesale, and that is truly where my love and day-to-day lies, being in those fish houses and where I thrive the most. Always happy to chip in and get this content done, but personally found the video channel just a hell of a lot more efficient in the way I can nick half an hour, and get so much done that delivers so much information to you guys. Like I say, then finding the time to sit down and write for a few hours or more, really, really tough. So yeah, that's kind of led it. And I think as the direction went, I let the guys get on with it. Chris did a phenomenal job. I'm not absolutely knocking anybody, but for me, the kind of love died a little bit. And that's when all of a sudden we're making decisions here where we're having to put more pages of advertising into the magazine. I feel like at times, I would only ever put in there stuff of a brand that I super believe in. And as you guys have known watching me, I wouldn't fill many pages. And we're lucky we've had those brands on board. That's been phenomenal. But then as well as that, you know, sometimes we're having to find a mix of content that's not necessarily what I want to convey, because we felt like at times we need to make sure the magazine provides diversity, value for money, whatever it is in there. So it's not just one tone of voice. And maybe we went wrong in that respect with that a little bit. But just for me, I'm so keen to make sure the information is on point. You know, I don't care who's written it if it doesn't align with my thought processes and all the rest of it, because I believe that's ultimately what I'm selling to you guys through that. It takes a bit away from me. So just all these compromises that started coming in, and it's been putting a very heavy mental toll on me in all, and sort of losing the love. And then I had a bit of a resurgence just recently and thought, right, let's get this done. So I just wanted to see with the redesign on this current issue where we've had the delays, you know, what we could do, because I've had to spend so much time, and this is the problem, to get it where I truly am happy with the product going out. You guys, you know, as much as you've probably loved it, and I know you have done, for me, I wasn't truly happy with where it was at. So spent the time. And yeah, it took so long because of the amount of revisions coming back, the amount of time I've had to spend ensuring the picture layouts are exactly as I wanted them. The designer we use is actually through a platform out in Canada. She's amazing. She's done a great job, but it's really sort of slowed down the process, getting it all across, the way it all has to be labeled and packaged to go out to the designer. Just crazy amounts of time. And then getting the content, you know, like the breeder interviews, we found a great way of doing them with Rie in Japan. But then ultimately, as it's come back to it, is then getting the pictures. I ideally need to be in Japan to get those pictures properly, certainly until she's got more training in that respect. The translation work's been amazing. It's just all this. And even the interviews were easier when I was there rather than just scripting it, because they became a little bit more dynamic. You know, when we did the Takano interview, I was there and I just found it opened up a whole different conversation. So that relies on them, me being in Japan to do that. So gathering the content, tough, and just all these things mixing around has sort of led to a spot where, like I say, I'm not truly, it's mentally weighing heavy on me. So where that brings us to, we have currently got, let's say, issue 30 is dropping with people now. 31 is not going to be too far behind. We are getting that wrapped up. But as it stands today, I've paused subscriptions on the store. And what I'm going to be doing is actually cancelling the subscriptions altogether. So there won't be a monthly automatic renewal of the magazine at all. What's going to happen is that'll all just stop. I'm still a fully 100% behind brand Koi Talk and delivering it. We're working really hard behind the scenes to get the podcast back live and kicking with me and Chris. So that's going to be coming soon. Still absolutely committed to delivering content for you, products, whatever it is. I've had loads of amazing ideas for delivering different types of content, mainly print material, because I do love doing it. But these things need time and extra headspace. And from that, basically, is we need to free up that time. I need to free up that time mentally to do it and also deliver a product that I want. So like I say, the subscription is going to go, because personally, I just don't want that pressure. There's loads of other little things in it, in the service there, that's just has sprung into my mind. You know, the postage. The postage is another issue here, because again, to maintain the costs, we've gone with it's a bulk service because we hit the volumes to do it. So what we're going to do is, it will allow us to move away from that, because every time we've had back issue orders, we've done a phenomenal job there of the team getting them out in a timely manner. The service is so much better. When these get sent off to the distribution company where they're packaged and sent, it goes into this mixed mail sorting process, and it's a pain in the arse. Again, it causes more delays, and that part of that service is incredibly frustrating, because then behind the scenes we spend so much more time and energy again communicating with you guys, which the team has always done an amazing job of, on what's happening, but it is ultimately time and resources that could be better spent. So yeah, the subscription, I feel like, is probably one of the biggest burdens to it. So And I do want to be clear, this is not the end at all. But the subscription is going to go, and what we're going to do at this moment in time, not committing to any particular number of magazines. All it's going to do is we're still going to try and produce as many as possible, because there's still enough there. Whether it ends up being monthly, I don't know. But rather than have the time restraints and making sure we've got all the deadlines to meet for that monthly renewal, what we're going to be doing is producing the magazine still, putting it out there. Obviously, we're here on YouTube all the time. We've got our mailing list and everything going on, and they'll then be released as an initial limited edition run, and then we will look to restock the back orders after that. You'll get good notice of it all coming, and that's the way that we'll be doing it from now on. So hopefully not too much disappointment for anybody. I hope you understand fully my reasonings behind this. None of this is financial. This actually, in a lot of senses, I mean, the magazine's been going from strength to strength in all those respects. It's just, oh God. Folks, I've dropped a right clanger here. Arthur's birthday. The birthday cake is in my car. Oh dear. That's going to get me in trouble. Yeah, and I'm here in my car at the office. So don't quite know how to deal with that one. That's got me proper mid-flow. Yeah, so that's where we're at with the mag. So yeah, I hope you understand, like I say, the decisions behind it all. And we're going to do our absolute best to get as many out as possible. But as well as that, we're going to be looking, like I say, at this additional contents and bits, and really kind of doubling down on the podcast and stuff like that. So yeah, feel free to fire any questions in. What I'm going to do now, folks, because I've got a little situation to sort out, is get the video running for you guys to watch. And I'll come back to questions and stuff after that. So just give me a minute, guys. I need to get it running first as well. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'll have one more crack at that. Let me just see what we can do. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. There we go.
Right, guys, so I am going to share with you this NND toe-size Sankey selection. One of my favourite bloodlines of the variety. Partially, I've grown up with it, which makes a big thing. Got such a good understanding of how it functions. Been there through the evolution of it as well, onto the current state that it is. It started off, it's the Sedazzo bloodline. It was basically a direct sort of carry-on of that lineage from back in the day when the father, Shoji Tanaka, created it. And then in 2009, after NND was formed to really push the growth, that's 2009, I swear I've got that wrong. 2019, there we go. I was actually in Japan for work experience spawning, and yeah, they crossed fish in there, which I knew was different. The whole body setup was different, and this was a Sakai female that went in, and that really was a game changer, even that first spawning. And since then, they've just gone from strength to strength, and now he's produced multiple Marusho Sankey that have hit the meter and even beyond it. Still some in existence over at the farm now. It's just phenomenal. I've got a couple of cracking examples in this pond here I'm going to share. So yeah, getting batches of Tosai from is really, really difficult. But what I managed to do, being there in September, it was the first day I arrived actually, just caught wind in one of the fish houses of this batch. And yeah, wow, they blew me away. So a few days later, when I was doing some business, managed to convince him, took the whole lot, and yeah, there's been some amazing fish come out so far. They've grown incredibly well. They're only tiny little things, but now it's getting to the point where I was trying to raise these through to jumbo Tosai. I need to get a bit of weight out the pond as per usual. So I'm going to have a look in there today and see what's going on. But let me just show you these couple now, the bigger ones, just for you to get an idea of why I love these things so much. So you see one there, look, I'm not going to net it. That is 4.5 years old, should be close to touching 80 cm. That is the typical Marusho power body that they get, this small, refined, incredible quality sumi. But just look at that body, look, it's an absolute unit, that fish. Then we've got this other one here that's really starting to come of age. That's actually a year younger. Had no sumi when I bought it, which wasn't a gamble. There's literally just the odd little speck. And it's really starting to refine and come out now in that fish. But again, absolute powerhouse of a body at 4 years old. And trust me, when that's done, it's going to be superb. And its skin qualities, when you actually see them at the surface, they are just to die for. So yeah, really happy. It's a lovely style of Sankey, so nice, and they can really deliver. They're just, as with most Sankey breeders, numbers are few and far between, and there certainly are at NND with Marusho Sankey. But I'm delighted to have this batch, which I'm going to net up now and yeah, show you what I've got to work with. So, absolute machines. I did actually feature these on a previous video when they arrived for the shipment, probably about 12 to 15 cm. I think it's fair to say we're probably hitting 30 now, top end. They have had one selection already, but only the one. Pretty decent average size, a bit of mixed size, because there were some smaller fish that I knew would be good. Didn't have a separate pond at the time, but I think, my God, look at this. Just quality. Absolute quality. So yeah, have a look through now and see what we've got. There's a good fish. Wow, just look at that skin look. Love them. Absolutely love them. Just look at that. Absolute squinkle. Look at that sumi. What a piece. It's not the only one. This style of Sankey is not always to everyone's liking, but you can't deny the sumi. Same with that one. Not quite going where I thought. Sumi is pulling back, but not to the extent I thought. But look at them again. Delightful. Great body on them as well. Here's what I've had my eye on for quite a while. Oh. So far, as an exercise of reducing numbers, this is going terribly. Look at that, masterpiece. But so far, that's the keep net. That's the time to go net. Oh, that's shocking. Be a bit more disciplined with what's left in here, but I am just blown away with what I'm seeing here. So the body and the skin condition is phenomenal. Dreamy stuff. Wow. So I've got a bit more disciplined in the end. I'll show you where we've got, but it's certainly going to take a few big chunky mouths out. Need to have a measure up, then get these back in. But yeah, wow, as an overall batch of fish, I'm absolutely delighted with them. Never ever had, probably as a percentage wise, it was only 140 fish I started out with, such a high yield at this point. But I knew it was a good batch. The greenhouse they went into at NND is normally stuff that they'll keep, and they'll take fish out for koi shows, events, stuff like that. So doing the deal on the batch, that was the term actually. He would only sell the whole batch. He wasn't prepared to just take half or anything like that. It was the whole lot, but I'm really glad I did. So yeah, let me show you. That's where we've ended up. Keep net. And what I'm going to release for sale now. This is only really, it's so strict, because I know I need to relieve a bit of space. Still some phenomenal fish on there which will get put out to a dealer. Might even get them sold, so I can tag it on at the video where they've ended up. If they go with a batch, that is. They might go individually yet, who knows. A few of the smaller sized ones that just are no good being in here. And yeah, these savageries, I will get a few in a bowl in a minute, but some of my real top pieces, look, showing you the body, and then fish before my big ones. Look at that. God almighty. It's an absolute unit. And the quality of that sumi, look. What a beast. This one here. Another real super standout fish. Slow as I will going along. The skin looks so fresh. It's always been a thing with Marucho Sanki though. Look at that. Delighted. So yeah, a few in the bowl now, quick size check, and then I want to get them back in the pond. Right, so a few highlights to share with you. Quite a few of my best pieces, not all of them, but certainly the most promising prospects. Size-wise, we're eating 26 to 30, which is awesome. Just look at some of these. The body of that is so comparable to the big girl that I showed you earlier on. Same with this one, look. Huge volumes. Look at the skin and the sumi. Super prospect piece that. Just goes on and on and on. I remember this from the very first batch. Amazing. And Benny just shining. Look at the thickness. Sumi quality here. Look at that. Amazing Benny again. Just goes on and on and on. This is actually interesting. So I think a lot of people will be put off by this. This sumi is just in progression. So it should all start refining up, but time will tell with that. It could actually be that it's going the other way at the minute, and that's going to drop back, but certainly no reason to not continue on with that one. Yeah, I'm so happy. Look at that, look. The style of the fish. Bonkers. See, it's only end of January, long way to go, but so far super pleased with where these are at.
There we go, folks. Wow. Right, don't think that was a joint effort there between me and the wife, because we'd as good as finished. I think we both already forgot the cake. Never mind forgetting it was in my car boot. So there must be an after party that I don't know about. So there we go. But now the lads had plenty of time today. So yeah, what did you think to them? Phenomenal results. Dreamy stuff. I mean, from the size they were at to where they're at. These are the best, I think one of the best batches of fish for consistency. I only started with 140 fish out of them, and I'm still put 60 odd back in the pond now at this point by the second selection. And the quality level in there is insane. There's genuinely quite a lot of fish that would make it in their Tatigoi ponds. I know it. I bought fish out of there, and I know what they cost. The whole thing has just come together a treat, and I cannot wait to get their summer growing underway or get them into a bigger pond and really start egging them on from that point. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, if I can end up producing anything like those two beasts swimming around from one of them, I will be a happy chap with that one. So I am going to move to some questions now, guys, because it wouldn't quite be question time live without me answering a few of them. But just to finish off and recap on the magazine, because that kind of blew my head out with the birthday cake then a little bit at the end. Say it's not the end of this. It's going to be far from the end of what you're going to be hearing from us. It's an adjustment just to keep, take some of the stress away, get that passion absolutely firing, and produce you the best possible products and information that we can. So, and I do want to thank all of you who have bought back issues, subscribed, followed us, whatever it is, all the advertisers, sponsors, everyone involved for where we've got to thus far. And I look forward to where we can take it in the future. So yeah, enough on that one for now. Yeah, let's get to some questions, guys. Let's have a look back through and see what we've got. And like I say, I will show you in a moment. These little Sakai Sankis, my goodness, they are spectacular. Right, Craig Evans. Hey Ricky, I know if there is you, won't be able to say who or what, but is there any new varieties being bred in Japan? Yeah, very interesting, like Black Zeus. So yeah, it's hard because there's always breeders trying something every year. There's always something cropping up. It's just the issue, I think, is a lot of the time these will come. They might have one spawn in one season. It might just be something they try and there's no longevity to it. Even have one spawn and it's not successful enough to continue it after that. So we've seen this. There's a guy that I deal with. I've actually got some Tosai coming. And again, it's just, I feel like he makes a different name up every year when I go to see him. And I mean, we're talking a handful of fish every year. There's not enough consistency for them to be lodged as a proper variety. You know, I think the biggest effort in recent years has been golden corn. And even still, is it going to make it over the long run? Who knows? But yeah, always something. Aoki, I know he's trying his, I think his Yellow Dragon, he's calling him, or something like that. A variation of it's part of a variety he's had, but he's now refining it a little bit more. So it's not completely new, but I think he's trying to upscale the production and where that heads. We've had the Aragoki style of existing varieties come into it. So yeah, every year, but we've got to be careful. I'm always careful. The breeder will put something in front of me, go, it's this, that, and the other, that I then just pass that on and make a big fuss about it. And it never comes to anything else after that, which happens a hell of a lot in Japan. So yeah, that's sort of where we're at with new varieties. Right now, I don't think there's anything particularly special coming to market this year. Off the top of my head, I might stand to be corrected with that. But yeah, like I say, as it stands, really nothing new. But there is stuff happening every year you go. There's a variation of something or something happens. Kijiro was probably one of the other big recent ones. And even that's not took off. And that was actually invested in and developed by the Inland Water Research Center in Japan, in Niigata, who was responsible for all the testing there. So they stabilized it, developed it over a long period of time, passed the parent fish to people. There's been a few successes with it, but there's just no volumes. And I don't think the varieties generally took off with you guys either, which is ultimately what will dictate how much effort gets into pushing its development further. So yeah, it's a curious one, but ultimately when you boil it back down like that, there are the breeders that do it die hard for the passion, but then there are others who are looking at it commercially. And yeah, sometimes these things just don't take off and they're not worth giving the pond space to, unfortunately. Spring H, how quickly are you increasing the temp on the new heated tanks? Do you do a few degrees a day or just flip up a switch? Yeah, I mean, we can do. Ultimately, it can only rise at a certain pace. It's not like it's going to go from cold to hot just like that. But yeah, I won't just go from where they're at right now because it's exceptional. I mean, the boiler's been off for a couple of days. So we've had drop-offs in the greenhouses where they've kind of gone down to 18. And now I'll just put, you know, if they've been at 22, for example, I'll just let that get back at whatever pace it does. It's kind of from warm to really warm or warm to warmer. In this case, I wouldn't want to go from where they're at, which is probably like 4 or 5 degrees, up to the 20s too quickly. So we will stage that. Also, I don't know how it's going to perform. We've got to get the insulation in that area because it's outside. Although it's undercover, the sides of the building are all vented. They're not solid. So a lot to do with that. Again, don't know how it's going to perform and how quickly it will actually climb up. But time will tell. But certainly, yeah, that's going to be a gradual process, just waking them up, waking the filter up. You can put fish into heat quite well, but what you have got to watch is, I mean, you could quite happily bag one up out there, float it kind of over stages, bringing it up, release it. You might find it'll have a sulk for 24 hours, and then it'll pick up great because its immune system is being activated going that way rather than going the other way where it'd be deactivated. So on the basis of that, not a problem. But what you have got to be careful of, this can cause colour stress. It can really, really, you know, that up in temperature, and I've seen it happen so many times where all of a sudden the colour just starts falling apart, and it's heat stress, that causes it. It's a reaction from that. It's the way it materializes, not in a health aspect, but with the color, it can kind of shock it a little bit. So you've got to be very careful there with that one. And then, like I say, the other way going down, that's a completely different beast where we've got to be so careful what happens with that one. But good question. Ian Ricky, I'm sure this has been asked before, but with the All Japan Koi show being and gone, do you think it's possible in the UK to grow a koi to the 1 meter mark from Tosai? Yeah, I'm going to stand correctedly. I think it's actually been done by hobbyists. I'm not sure if they were from Tosai, but I know the 1 meter stuff's been touched. For me, it's not just about the size, though. It's about every other element that comes into this. You know, a 1 meter koi carries quite a lot of body. But when you see it done at the Japanese high professional level, the extra volume that they have makes the fish look 5 centimeters longer. You know, it's crazy. And then at the same time, the sort of finish level in the skin and the color, that's what I've not seen done. And that to me is when you would stand back and go, wow, I've done it. That is my obsession with the fish that I raise over here. It's not just about getting the size that can be done. It's matching the body volume level and the skin condition and color quality level. Without it, I don't see it as an achievement. I am ultra hard on myself with stuff like that, but ultimately, you know, those guys out there and the best of those guys out there are the ones setting the benchmark. And in my opinion, if I'm not getting to that kind of level, I'm not doing it well enough. And that is part of that drive and motivation of wanting to get to that level, which at this moment in time I am achieving, certainly with those Nisai I showed you last week as well, you know, really getting there. And all it is now is just tweaking every year, trying something different. You get that extra bit, and I get to know the limits. I know now very well if I stock a pond in a certain level, it's limits, but I also know then what size of fish and what kind of body mass it'll produce, but then what I need to do to get that extra growth. Then it's just a case of balancing things up from a commercial level, going, look, if I only put 50 fish in here to start with and not 150, you know, those costs are divided by a lot less fish. So are they going to be worth it in the long run? That's the stuff we have to balance up. So, but yeah, you see more of these, you know, I have a few ponds. There's certainly the pond you saw there with the NND Sankey with the big fish. That was me there seeing then what I can do with raising fish from Nisai and older upwards, still with a high stocking level. That pond is way too overstocked for the sort of size of fish in there. Yet I've still had a phenomenal summer and broke through some mental boundaries, which you'll get to see at some point when I do kind of end things there. And just trying different programs. So I've gone off on a complete different tangent there. But yeah, I do think it's been done. It can be done quite easily. But ultimately, the finish we want is like those things on the poster, the calendars behind me, the kind of making sure it hits those benchmarks. And to my mind, I've not seen that done in the UK to date. Right, what else have we got? Hey, there we go. If the NND calendar is as good as the Coda calendar I won in the Sunnybank grow out, then it's well worth the money. They are, and I know the fish on there are superb because I own quite a lot of them. So it must be some subconscious goal I've got to see how many spaces on the NND calendar I can fill. Yeah, it's proper addiction out of hand, isn't it? Crazy. Mike, the new changes are great. Thank you. Will you be doing any events regarding Heeltsori this year? Not sure. I've done so much with Heeltsori the past few years. I'm always kind of like, do I, don't I? But they seem to have become a massively core staple at Koi Wholesale. So let's see. I won't rule it out, but no immediate plans at the moment. However, there is something I'm concocting in the back of my mind. If I can pull it off for kind of like the back end for the next winter season coming, which yeah, let's wait and see on that one. I might hold out in the hope that I can pull that off because it'd be pretty spectacular. Right, bear with me. Hi Ricky, where would NND Showa sit in your rankings? Yeah, I think this is I have to get out because I have a very strong personal affection for them. There's no hiding that, is there? They produce some phenomenal Showa. The original Umo Showa lineage of NND was very special and very unique. Now, from my last knowing, it was a couple of years ago, they did still have parent fish from there, although they weren't using it. It's migrated to this new Dainichi line that they had, of which the parent fish was just outrageous. I would be happy to have any offspring from that fish. And it's been great. And I think we're down to another version now, because I know some of the fish I've purchased this year haven't been from that particular parent. So, yeah, there's exciting things going on. I've seen more volume this year as well. So I hope they do, because there's always been some quirky traits to the lineage. I think Fujo must just have a phenomenal knack for Showa, given he's done it for so long, picking them parent fish, getting the characteristics, and then the offspring. I've certainly myself got some fantastic prospects, and it's quirky, it's different, and that's what I like about it. But sitting the rankings, I mean, if we're talking, those top rankings, your Dainichi, Issa, Sakai's not got the numbers, but when, my God, he produces them, they certainly sit in there. Momotaro, again, has been doing special things with Showa, but the volume of them, I mean, they didn't breed them all last year, from what I can remember. He tried to muck around with some Kajaku instead, which I think was a bad choice. So straight away, you can see down there in that pecking order, I mean, Hoshikin probably produces more volume than NND. Them Showa are stunning. So he kind of floats around in those categories. I've seen Marido's coming back with a bit of an effort on it. So they kind of float around in that pool. I think as an elite Showa breeder, no. But as a very super high quality with some quirky traits to the bloodline, they're right in there. And sometimes that's what I look for. The mainstream are what they are. You know what you're getting year on year. But sometimes it's nice to have something different. And them characteristics we can find in bloodlines are those things. Ultimately, yes, it's still a Showa. But when you're watching the progress and the development, you can get, like I say, these different characteristics form. And with the NND show, it's been the head. That's been the one that got me the first. And the parent fish has just got this slab attached to the front of it. It's bonkers. And white skin in particular was phenomenal on it. And you've seen that filter down in them. And that's nice. And they grow, with that power in them, but also great length. So, yeah, that's what when I'm assessing stuff, I look for these traits and characteristics to see what's out there. And, certain things just resonate with people. There'll be lineages out there that aren't deemed all that popular, but the Ueno ones have been a super quirky one. Not for everybody, personally, year on year, not for me. I couldn't see me doing it every year because it has got some mighty odd things. But I mean, my God, can that chuck, 90 plus meat and to a meter Showas out easily. It's phenomenal. But, are they the most stable in a lot of senses? No. So there's one of those quirks. There's just loads to it. And that's when you get into that stuff. That's why I find it so fascinating. You can find all these different things that you're really, really, really going to enjoy. And it's all very personal in that space. All these breeders produce quality Showa. Just what characteristics appeal to you to make it a lineage that would be for you. Jason, I know you put your heart and soul into all this, and I can assure you it's been a game changer for a lot of us. Loads of education. I love the hobby more than ever. That's amazing to hear, Jason. I do appreciate that, mate. Really do. Just working my way down. March will be my second anniversary in Koi. When I found Koi Talk Mag, it's improved my knowledge and the understanding of koi keeping. I look forward to each month's new edition. That's great to hear, Daniel. And like I say, don't be too disappointed. There's still going to be plenty to get your hands on alongside loads of other great content. So, yes. Oh, God. Just stumbled back across that comment. Oh, dearie me. That's great. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, Craig, glad that's come across. It makes sense. You release the pressure on yourself when you do produce a magazine. It's one meeting your high standards. Yeah, and honestly, Guy, it really does mean a lot to me that ultimately, if I'm putting my name on it, it resonates exactly how I want it to be. And when it doesn't, it really does get to me, honestly. And it's the same with the fish. It sounds crazy. I know there's stuff that I would put in front of you that I'm deeply unhappy with, and you might be blown away with. It's them unrelenting standards that I just have that I can't get away from. But ultimately, yeah, that is what it is. Can't change it, but I've just come to learn in life. It's better to it's compromising. I don't like compromising on it. And then ultimately that does tinker with the passion. And that's when that happens, everything takes a bit of a dip, and it's just not worth it in the end. It really isn't. Right, I'm just scrolling still, folks. In fact, while I am scrolling, just quickly, you can have a look at these phenomenal Sakai Sankis that I'm releasing after this over on the WhatsApp group. If I can get them to play, which doesn't seem to want to do again. Let me down this evening. This is right. Let's reload it and see what happens. There we go. Just look at them. Absolutely dreamy. Even at the size they're at, the potential's just so clear to see. It really is. Phenomenal stuff. What do you think to them, folks? I know what I think. Absolutely, it's just mega. What a place that is. It really, really bonkers. And it's just this is the big thing you see with these farms. You know, yes, there's farms that could produce. So I say some fish like that. That's actually, I don't even sound like that was genuine when it come out of my mouth. A lot of farms do produce great sankis, right? Tucano is a prime example, produces phenomenal sankis. And I actually discussed this with a top Japanese hobbyist. He produces sanki at the level of some of Sakai's best stuff. The problem is it would be the top 2 or 3 Nisai from Tucano each year, and there would only be 2 or 3 that you could consider like that. The difference is with Sakai, they're knocking fish out like that en masse. You know, don't get me wrong. And then when you've got their real special stuff, there's even that, but it is a factory for champion koi. You know, every year they've got multiple contenders they can go and just pick to enter to any of those big shows for potential top prizes and grand champion awards. It's just very hard to process the scale of what them guys are doing. So yeah, I'll play that one more time for you. They are bonkers, folks. Really. See, it's crazy how you can even see all those characteristics in the body, the heads especially, the heads, the mouths. You know, in such small fish, I've always said it, the roadmap is there all along. It's phenomenal. So let's have a look. Yeah, it's an interesting question. It's the sad aspect of the business, but in a year, how much koi do you lose and what's your worst case of a koi loss? Yeah, so I have no issues being, it's a super small percentage, because if it was any other than that, it just couldn't sustain being in business. You know, you'd literally be chucking money away. Might get the odd jump out every now and again, but even, you know, from the shipments, mortalities, I've shared a few of the videos. You know, the last 2 shipments, I think we've lost 1 fish in 2 shipments, and there's been thousands of fish. Because all that side's done over the years, just refining the process to the point where obviously this is what allows us to do what we do it with confidence, you know, selling fish in events for you guys and growing them on with absolute confidence. They'll come out not only having grown well and looking great, but in perfect health at the same time. So yeah, it's marginal. I've never actually looked at the percentage, but it would be tiny. It really would. Sleeping sickness is probably the biggest threat overall. There's, you know, one particular breeder's fish that does challenges every year, and it's probably where the bulk of the losses would actually come from overall, because yeah, they do fall and they fall hard, and there's a small window. But I think even something we tweaked in the process for this coming year will change that as well and minimize the impacts from that, because I think it was last year it got us quite a bit. And it was only actually 1 pond that actually had them spread across 3 ponds, and 1 pond got hit. So it was more of a stocking level management there. But even still, in comparison to that whole batch, it was tiny, and even into then the yearly quantity, it's so few. But I'd say if it was the case and we were losing loads, it would not be the business for us, and it certainly wouldn't be a healthy business either. But very good question there. I like that one. That's actually a good point, Ricky. If you get the time, could you quickly run through the way to purchase on the WhatsApp group, additional costs, post pickup? Yeah, so it's all laid out on there, to be honest, per transaction what's going on or what dealer it's going on with and stuff like that. While I just remember, I will stick the QR code on the screen. There we go. You can scan that and join the group. So we'll be getting on there after this. But yeah, all the information's laid out. Generally, there's no additional cost and bits and bobs, and but every detail for each different transaction is all outlined. So yeah, rather than go on here about it all, you can find out, like I say, on a case-by-case basis on there. Right, get back to those comments. Yeah, a couple more questions then, guys. Well, there we go, kind of in line. What's the worst problem you had while quarantining your koi, and how did you solve it? Yeah, probably the worst one there, I would say, is the sleeping sickness. So when that does come, it does hit them hard. It's more about managing the stocking and the pond at the same time, to be honest with that one, more so than the condition, because as soon as we hit them with the salt and the heat, they will start recovering. But you've just got to manage them through it, because it can be really hard on the skin. You've got to watch for costia can become a secondary problem, which complicates things, because we want to try and avoid adding any medication. So yeah, it's the biggest one from what I can remember. And to be honest, even thinking right back, when I first encountered sleeping sickness, it was the biggest problem, because this batch of fish fell on and they fell hard, and we just didn't know what to do. We tried medication, they got worse. And at that point, I had to seek help from Fujo. Just straight away, turn around, he says it's sleeping disease, put the heat on, get the salt, leave them, and they'll come around. And sure enough, they did. And, and this is how we learn. It's just from those experiences and suffering and things that go along that process, you pick it up. So, yeah, from what I can recall, it's absolutely the worst case. But for me, it's a big thing, sleeping sickness in its pure form as the CEV, carpedema virus, is brutal. You're talking mass mortality if left unchecked. So I'm super, super cautious of it. Right, one more question then, folks, and I'm going to leave you all be. Oh, there we go. Corricky, spill the beans. Are you doing grow out event this year? Yes, we absolutely are. I did mention it. I've mentioned it for a couple of times now, but I will be giving full information on that, and it might even get it beforehand through WhatsApp, the date for your diary. I'll actually be firming it all up tomorrow. So this is going to be the physical event in replace, or this year's version of Secret Sankey. Battle of the Breeders this year, a couple of different twists on it, which I think is going to be cool. And the fish are just phenomenal. Really, really up to the game on that. And they're still going to come in at the same epic price point that we got last year, including everything. So, yeah, that's that one. Go on, I've got one more question just there. What's your thought on Takahashi Showa? I absolutely love it. It's another great lineage for Showa, Takahashi. I had them, I don't even know how long ago it was, but I did grow a full pond on one year, and the results were great. They're not massive growers, but they are stunning. The sumi, the pattern level, the sumi comes up quite quick and reliably as well. So yeah, really, really just a nice one to enjoy and get a really beautiful fish out of him, and get a lot of fish for your money from Takahashi as well. That's what he's great at. Value for money at that place is absolutely mega. So yes, there we go. One last run of the Sankey. There we go. I know he's going to moan if I don't put his comment on. That's Neil, my electrician. Can't spell. Yeah, I'm not even going to say anything about that. But he's coming, and without him, I wouldn't have any zone valves or thermostats working. So I better keep him sweet, to be fair. Right, folks, there you go. One last run of those Sankeys, and then I'm going to clock off. But they are bonkers. Like I say, all the same kind of options, growing bits and bobs we've had available with them as well, to really help you get the most out of any prospect that you're looking at there. There we go. So thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope you do appreciate, where we're planning to take Koi Talk as a brand. And just furthermore, that kind of energy and release and weight, it feels like it's lifted in making those changes, is just going to be reinvested back into better fish, you know, different content coming out in other ways. Yeah, it's not going to stop. So appreciate all your continued support. And yeah, I'll be back next week. And thank you for tuning in.